reports, actually. Some news articles, historical accounts, even some personal testimonies, too.
It's really amazing how much activity there has been in this one area. We're going to try to get to the bottom of it all today.
Yeah, what's the history here? How prevalent are these sightings, really? And are we dealing with hard evidence? Or just stories and speculation?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? There are certainly people on both sides of the debate.
Absolutely, and we'll be hearing from both skeptics and believers today. And we might even uncover some intriguing details along the way that might leave you looking up at the sky.
You'll be surprised by what we find. Nottinghamshire has a history of UFO sightings that goes all the way back to the mid-20th century. And we're not just talking about blurry photos or quick glimpses. We're talking about detailed accounts from multiple witnesses, describing shapes, movements, even sounds.
You're right about that. That's one of the things that makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're looking at patterns and trends that have emerged over decades, starting with an incident that really captured the public's imagination. The flying bedstead in 1954 in Hucknall. Now, this wasn't a true UFO, but just try to picture this. A strange, almost alien-looking machine hovering in the sky. Described by some as a flying car?
Right. It was actually the Rolls-Royce thrust measuring rig, a pretty unique aircraft that definitely caught people's attention.
It makes you think about how we perceive advanced technology, even human-made technology. It can sometimes blur the lines between the familiar and the unknown.
Absolutely. Perception plays a big role in how we understand these things.
And this interest in UFOs didn't fade after the flying bedstead. It actually led to the formation of organized groups dedicated to investigating these sightings. And that brings us to UFOI, the National Unidentified Flying Object Investigation Society, which was very active here in Nottingham during the 1970s.
UFOs played a key role, not just locally, but internationally as well. They were meticulously recording sightings. And they were even communicating with similar groups in other countries, Italy, Sweden, Germany, even the US. It shows how seriously people were taking this. The level of organization dedicated to investigating these sightings.
Amazing, right? And get this, their archives are actually housed in the Nottingham Central Library. Talk about a local treasure trove of UFO history. But here's where things get even more interesting. An MI5 agent actually investigated UFOs because they suspected the group of being part of a communist plot. They were so organized and well-connected that they raised suspicions during the Cold War.
It's a testament to their meticulous record-keeping and communication network. But it also shows the climate of suspicion that was so prevalent back then.
It definitely adds another layer of intrigue to the whole UFO phenomenon, doesn't it? But it's important to remember that UFOs wasn't just about fervent believers. Their chairman, a man named Robert Morell, was actually known for his skepticism, even within the UFO community.
Morell was a fascinating figure, a historian and author. He actually criticized a 1980 ufology conference, calling it unscientific, which caused quite a stir at the time.
He wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo, even within his own field of study. And in UFOIS newsletters, you can actually find him attributing sightings to things like satellites, or floodlights, or even drunken barge pilots setting off flares.
Morell's approach reminds us that it's important to look for plausible explanations and not jump to conclusions when we see something unusual in the sky.
Absolutely. So we've talked about early sightings and the rise of UFO investigations in Nottingham. But now let's dive into some specific sightings, the ones that really capture people's attention.
One that stands out is the Ashbourne incident of 1980, where up to 40 people reported witnessing flying saucers with these distinctive blue lights. There's even a 1981 ATV news interview with Professor Moore of the Nottinghamshire Investigation Society discussing this case.
Wow, 40 people, that's a lot of witnesses. And these sightings continued into more recent times too. Take Alfie Boyle in Newark last year. He actually filmed a mysterious bright light hovering for hours, and he was absolutely convinced it wasn't a plane or star. He even said, stars don't stay there for 2 hours, then start moving.
His bewilderment is a common theme in these accounts, a genuine inability to explain something with our existing knowledge.
I can definitely see that. And then there are these intriguing witness accounts from the 1980s, spanning multiple locations across Nottinghamshire. Places like Arnold, Calverton, Rice Park, Bulwell, Beeston Rylands, Gedling, West Bridgeford, and a lot of them describe these Vulcan bomber-shaped objects. And just to clarify, those bombers have a very distinctive delta wing shape, often with a smaller, silent silver sphere following them.
The consistency of those descriptions across different locations and time frames is definitely something to think about.
It really is. And it's not just vague shapes either. Witnesses describe clusters of lights, humming noises, objects moving at incredible speeds. It paints a very vivid picture. It really does.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We've uncovered some fascinating stuff about UFOs in Nottinghamshire so far.
I know, it's incredible to think about all these unexplained encounters. It really gets you thinking. And we still have so much more to uncover today. I'm especially curious about those witness accounts from the 1980s, the ones describing those Vulcan bomber-shaped objects with the smaller, silent silver spheres following them. Those sound really eerie.
You're right, those are some of the more compelling reports we have. Let's go back to the 1980s in Nottinghamshire for a minute. Imagine a late November night in 1980. You're in Arnold just going about your evening, and suddenly you see these two massive silent objects, resembling Vulcan bombers gliding across the sky, emitting this low humming sound, and it being followed by a smaller silver sphere, darting around almost silently.
Okay, I have chills. That sounds like something out of a movie. But these sightings weren't limited to just Arnold, right?
No, not at all. Similar sightings were reported in Calverton, too. A woman and her husband saw bright lights in the sky. That seemed to be moving towards them. They said even their dogs were barking at these objects.
Oh, wow. I bet that was unsettling, to see something so inexplicable.
You can imagine. And the details get even more incredible. In Rise Park, a woman named Mrs. Challoner saw two clusters of lights moving slowly and steadily across the sky. Her husband even looked at them through binoculars and confirmed they were unlike any aircraft he'd ever seen.
So we've got these large, silent objects, sometimes emitting lights or humming sounds, often accompanied by this smaller, silent sphere. It's like a recurring theme across different parts of Nottinghamshire.
Exactly. And the reports aren't limited to just those areas either. We have reports from Bulwell, Beeston Rylands, Gedling, West Bridgeford, all describing variations of the same phenomenon.
It makes you wonder, why do you think people felt the need to form organizations like UFOI in response to events like these?
It's a great question. I think it really speaks to our desire to understand the unknown. When we see something that defies explanation, we naturally try to find answers. And for a lot of people, organizations like UFOI provided a platform for sharing their experiences, collecting data, and searching for those answers.
That makes a lot of sense. It was like a collective effort to make sense of the inexplicable.
Exactly. Especially in a time before the internet. These groups played a vital role in connecting people who had similar experiences and fostering a sense of community among those who believed that they'd witnessed something extraordinary.
It's interesting that these groups often attracted people from all walks of life.
Yeah, you'd have scientists and engineers, historians and writers like Robert Morell. The allure of UFOs really transcended traditional boundaries.
It really did. Okay, let's get into some of the specific accounts from those locations. I'm particularly interested in the one from Bulwell, where a woman claimed the objects actually transformed into triangular shapes, with bright lights.
Oh yes, Mrs. Woolley's account. That one's definitely intriguing. She described seeing these two bright lights that initially appeared stationary, but then suddenly moved and changed shape into triangular shapes with green and other colored lights. She even mentioned a low throbbing sound coming from the objects.
Wow, that sounds intense. What about the Beeston Rylands sighting? I remember that one mentioned a Concorde-shaped object.
Ah, yes, that was Mr. King and his wife. They observed these two bright white lights with smaller multicolored lights. They said it looked like the shape of two crosses, and the objects were moving slowly and silently. Mrs. King actually compared their shape to a Concorde.
So we've got Vulcan bomber shapes, Concorde shapes, now triangular shapes. It's like these objects were appearing in all kinds of different forms, or at least that's how they were perceived.
It definitely adds to the complexity of these sightings.
It really does.
Yeah.
And remember that smaller silent silver sphere we kept hearing about? The one that seemed to be following the larger object?
Yes, of course.
Well, in West Bridgeford, multiple witnesses reported seeing this sphere racing across the sky near the larger crafts, almost like it was protecting them or watching over them.
That's an interesting detail, isn't it? And it pops up in multiple accounts from different locations.
It does, which makes it even more intriguing. It's like a scene from a science fiction film.
It really is.
We've explored some really detailed sightings from the 1980s. Do you think the Cold War paranoia had any influence on these sightings?
That's a good point. I think it's definitely possible. The anxieties of the Cold War, the fear of potential threats from the skies, it could have played a role in how people interpreted these unusual sights.
It was a time of heightened awareness of potential attacks, whether from enemy aircraft or missiles.
Exactly. So it's conceivable that this underlying fear influenced how people perceived things in the sky. Maybe they were more likely to associate them with threats, or even extraterrestrial origins.
So you're saying these local sightings were happening during a time of growing international obsession with UFOs and a pervasive sense of unease about what might be out there?
Precisely. It was a time of uncertainty and rapid technological change, which likely fueled a lot of speculation.
It's fascinating to think about how those factors might have influenced people's perceptions.
It's hard to separate those things completely, but what's clear is that these sightings had a real impact on those who witnessed them.
They weren't just abstract ideas or news stories. These were lived experiences.
Exactly. They left people questioning their understanding of reality.
And for some, those questions led them to dedicate their lives to finding answers. Like the researcher we talked about earlier.
The one who claimed to have seen triangular crafts over Nottingham in 1991.
Right. His story is a good reminder that these sightings can have a lasting impact on people,
whether they're explained or not.
Speaking of lasting impact, we can't forget about the Thieves' Wood incident of 1987. Even though it's shrouded in mystery, it's inspired all sorts of things. Blog posts, enthusiast visits, even a folk song.
It's become a local legend. It shows how powerful these unexplained events can be. They capture our imaginations and fuel our curiosity.
Like a modern-day folklore?
Exactly.
Okay, so we've explored some incredibly detailed sightings, but now I'm curious about the other side of the coin. What about the skeptics? What are their explanations for these phenomena?
That's a crucial part of this discussion. We need to acknowledge that not every light in the sky is an alien spacecraft. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the most likely one. And we'll delve into those alternative explanations, as well as the scientific perspective on UFOs, in part 3 of our deep dive.
Sounds good. I'm ready to put on my skeptic's hat. Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle the skeptic's perspective on all these UFO sightings.
It's been quite a journey through Nottinghamshire's UFO history. We've had compelling eyewitness accounts, historical investigations, even a touch of Cold War paranoia.
It's amazing how much there is to uncover. But I think it's time to put on our critical thinking caps now and consider some alternative explanations. What are some of the more down-to-earth possibilities for these sightings?
Right? Not every light in the sky is an alien spacecraft. We need to remember that. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the most likely one. Remember those saucer-shaped cavum clouds formed by airplanes?
Oh, yeah, those were interesting. Those circular gaps in the clouds could definitely be mistaken for something otherworldly, especially with the right lighting conditions.
Absolutely. And then there's the classic culprit, weather balloons. They can travel at high altitudes, often carry lights or reflectors, and their movements can seem erratic depending on the wind.
Yeah, I can see how someone might mistake a weather balloon for a UFO, especially at night.
Exactly. And let's not forget about satellites. There are thousands of them orbiting the Earth. It's not uncommon to see them reflecting sunlight.
Oh, right, especially during those twilight hours. I've definitely seen those bright moving points of light and wondered what they were.
Makes sense. And these days we also have to consider drones. They're becoming more and more common, and their lights and maneuverability can also lead to misidentifications.
So we've got clouds, weather balloons, satellites, drones. It seems like there are quite a few everyday things that could be mistaken for UFOs.
There are, and we haven't even mentioned things like military aircraft,
Yeah.
or experimental technology, or even hoaxes, which can muddy the waters even further.
Right, like that MI5 agent who suspected UFOs of being part of a communist plot. It's a reminder that misinformation and misinterpretations can happen.
They can, which is why it's crucial to think critically.
Yeah.
We have to be careful when evaluating these reports
We need to consider all the angles.
before jumping to any conclusions.
So how do we separate genuine UFO sightings from misidentifications or hoaxes? What kind of evidence would convince a skeptic?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Professor Brian Cox once said, "Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence." That's a good starting point. We need clear, verifiable evidence that can't be explained conventionally.
Like what specifically?
Well, it could be things like radar data, photographic or video evidence that's been analyzed and confirmed, or multiple eyewitness accounts that corroborate each other with specific details.
So it's not enough for someone to just say they saw something strange?
Not really. We need tangible proof that can withstand scrutiny.
But even then, there's always the chance of human error.
There is, or misinterpretation, or even intentional deception. It's a complex field.
It sounds like finding definitive proof of extraterrestrial life is a tough challenge.
It is, but that doesn't mean we should dismiss the possibility. The search for answers is what makes this topic so intriguing. It makes us question our assumptions, explore the unknown, consider the vastness of the universe, and potential for life beyond our planet.
You know, despite all the skepticism and potential for mistakes, there's still something captivating about UFO sightings.
There is. It taps into our sense of wonder.
Or curiosity about what might be out there.
There's a certain allure to the idea of alien visitors, a mystery that sparks our imagination. And even if most sightings have a conventional explanation, there's always that little bit of doubt.
That possibility that something truly extraordinary is happening.
It's a puzzle we might never fully solve.
But the journey of trying to figure it out is what keeps us engaged.
That's the beauty of it.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into Nottinghamshire's UFO history, I'm definitely feeling a mix of wonder and skepticism. There's so much we still don't know, but that's okay.
It is. The pursuit of knowledge is an ongoing process. And the mystery of UFOs is just one of many fascinating enigmas out there.
So to all our listeners out there, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep that sense of wonder alive. You never know what mysteries you might uncover. Until next time on The Deep Dive, where we'll explore another corner of the unexplained.